Hi, we shall be talking about IKEA Philippines and its prices. Now, although IKEA Philippines physical store is not opened yet, they'll be opening in a month or two if I'm not mistaken, but at least IKEA Philippines has already posted on their website their products and their corresponding prices, and then we will be using them to compare with the prices of IKEA UAE and Singapore. Now, I've chosen these two countries because this was where I previously worked, and I have selected 14 IKEA products which I personally have purchased and used. The conversion rates that I'll be using are based on 30th of October, where 1 dirham is equal to 13.76 Philippine pesos, while 1 Singapore dollar is equal to 37.47 Philippine pesos. Let's start with this armchair, where amongst the three prices that you can see on screen, unfortunately, we have the highest because this chair will retail for 2,590. While you'll be glad to know that if you buy this in UAE, you'll be able to purchase it at only 1,995. It's not that too far from the Philippine price, but still, I'm sure you'll be happy to know that you've saved a little pesos. Now, let's move on to the sofa. This EKTORP is one of the best sellers in IKEA. Now, UAE has the most expensive, while Philippines, you'll be glad to know that it's a bit cheaper compared to Singapore and UAE prices. Next is this bed frame. Now, Singapore has the most expensive at 17,947 pesos after conversion, while the lowest is from UAE, where you'll just be purchasing this at 14,378 after conversion. Next is this two-door wardrobe, where unfortunately we have the highest amongst the three, where we will be purchasing this at 6,990, while UAE has the cheapest at 3,783. Next is this simple but very useful desk. Now, Philippines again has the highest, while UAE has the cheapest. Then you have this coffee table. Now, Singapore this time has the most expensive price at 1,495 after conversion, while UAE again has the cheapest at 1,087 pesos. Next is this simple TV bench. I had this when I was in Singapore and I liked it a lot because it's a space saver. Now, unfortunately, if you'll buy this here in the Philippines, you'll know that it's the most expensive amongst the three prices, Singapore and UAE, because you'll have to shell out 4,990 pesos. While you'll still know that if you buy this in UAE, you'll know that this is the cheapest amongst the price of Philippines and Singapore. Next is this children's stool at 399 pesos after conversion if you buy that in UAE, while in Philippines, it's only 350. Actually, it's only 49 pesos difference from UAE price. Singapore's in the middle at 370. Next is a personal favorite, this ORDNING, which is marketed as a cutlery stand. But for me, I love this because this is where I used to put all my drawing tools, pens, rulers, and it just looks good on top of a desk. And if you'll buy this in Singapore, you'll know that you'll have to shell out 221 pesos after conversion, followed by Philippines at 190, and the cheapest at UAE, which is more than a half if you compare it with Singapore, because you'll just have to pay 96 pesos. Next is an IKEA classic and an iconic product. Everyone who's familiar with IKEA, if they see this one, they'll straight away know unmistakably that this is an IKEA product. Now, if you purchase this in Singapore, you'll know that you'll have to pay that much because it will be priced at 221 after conversion. Now, glad to know, here in the Philippines, it's more than a half if compared to Singapore price, because you'll just have to pay 50 pesos, while UAE has the cheapest at 41.28, which is not too far from the Philippine price. Next is the floor lamp, wherein UAE has the highest, and glad to know that Philippines has the lowest price. Then this 5-piece cookware. wherein it's also a personal favorite. Unfortunately, Philippines has the highest compared to Singapore and UAE because you'll have to shell out 790 pesos, while UAE is the cheapest at 536 pesos after conversion. Then the simple wall clock. Okay, UAE has this time the highest, while Philippines is at the middle, followed by Singapore at 483, which makes it the lowest. Then lastly, this laundry bag, another iconic product of IKEA. And knowing that it will be most expensive to purchase it at Singapore because you'll have to pay 221 after conversion. Then followed by Philippines at 180, and lastly, UAE at 165. Now, what is my final observation? Looking at this one, UAE, out of 14 products, 4 UAE has the highest. Then followed by Singapore and Philippines, where out of 14, we have 5 products where we are actually commanding the highest price if compared to the other 2. Now, again, it's glad to know that after this simple comparison, at first I thought that Philippine prices would be more expensive than other IKEAs because of the Philippine taxes and other things. But after doing this, I found out that it varies. You just can't just say straight away that Philippine price will be more expensive. So we're glad to know that after this comparison, you'll have more in-depth idea of the prices and it will make you more comfortable to buy. And again, thank you for watching. If you like this one, please share and don't forget to subscribe because I have still more other interesting and informative videos to offer you in the future. Thank you.